In most competitive team-based games, matches tend to wrap up within 30 minutes to an hour. However, Foxhole is not like most games. Instead of short contained battles, Foxhole is a persistent MMO where the primary objective is to win a continent-spanning war. These wars, which serve as the game's equivalent of matches, can last anywhere from several days to multiple weeks. Influenced heavily by the tenacity of the player base, the layout and conditions of the map, and the available arsenal of equipment and vehicles at any given moment. Over the last 3 years though, these wars have grown longer and longer, to the point where some now approach nearly 2 months in duration. For players like me who casually dip in and out of the game, these lengthy wars might not seem like a significant issue. If you're just logging on occasionally to experience a skirmish or contribute to the war effort here and there, these protracted conflicts can even seem immersive. But for some of Foxhole's more committed and hardcore players, the ones who dream about scrap fields and weapon stats, the steadily increasing duration of the wars is becoming a source of fatigue and leading to player burnout. So what has led to this escalation in war length? To answer that, we need to examine some of the mechanics and systems that underpin Foxhole's World Conquest game mode. At the heart of Foxhole lies a player-driven war simulation that's both ambitious and deeply complex. In this game, absolutely everything is handled by the players. This includes setting up and maintaining vast logistical chains, constructing intricate defensive structures, and engaging in strategic large-scale battles. It's a living, breathing world that demands coordination, teamwork, and relentless effort. The outcome of any given war is determined not by AI or scripted events, but by the real-time activity and decisions of the players themselves. And as the player base has grown, the nature of these wars has evolved. More players mean more resistance and more obstacles to overcome. With more players fighting tooth and nail on both sides, wars naturally become drawn-out affairs. The intensity and sheer number of engagements make it increasingly difficult for either side to break through and claim victory swiftly. But while the growing player base is a significant factor in lengthening the wars, it's not the only element at play. Another critical reason lies in the structure of Foxhole's ever-expanding map. Over the years, the game world has become significantly larger. To secure victory, a faction must capture a certain number of strategic points scattered across the continent. As the map has grown, so has the number of these crucial points. Consequently, the sheer volume of territory that needs to be conquered has increased, making it harder and more time-consuming to secure the necessary foothold for a decisive win. Furthermore, the terrain and geography of Foxhole's maps often lead to entrenched stalemates. The game is full of natural choke points that players can exploit to create fierce defensive stands. Take bridges for instance. These narrow passages are prime real estate for creating gridlocks as both factions battle to either hold or break through, resulting in prolonged engagements that can stall any real progress for days or even weeks. Other heavily fortified positions along the front lines also contribute to these stagnations, making it difficult for either side to make headway and further lengthening the conflict. Adding to the problem of player burnout is the extremely short period between wars. After a grueling conflict, the downtime between wars is only a day or two. This nearly non-existent rest period doesn't give players enough time to recover, regroup, or reset. Instead, a new war kicks off almost immediately, demanding players to dive back into the high-stakes world of logistics, combat, and defense. For casual players, this isn't really a problem, but for dedicated players who spend countless hours supporting the war effort, this relentless cycle can be draining, further contributing to the sense that the wars are too long. The period between wars is known as the resistance phase. Historically, this phase had a unique purpose. Players could influence the next war by constructing supply caches. These could store up to 15 crates of supplies, and once a new war began, they could be accessed, giving teams a strategic advantage. The concept added a layer of continuity and purpose to the resistance phase, allowing for meaningful preparation and a sense of progression. However, these mechanics have since been removed from the game. Now the resistance phase serves little to no strategic purpose, making it feel like an intermission without impact or relevance. The developers have intentionally kept these phases brief, likely out of the concern that new players joining during this period might become disinterested. After all, if a player logs on for the first time, only to hear that this isn't the real war and that their actions don't matter, there's a fear that they might lose interest and quit before even experiencing the true intensity of Foxhole. The absence of meaningful activities or stakes in the resistance phase has turned it into a forgettable downtime rather than a compelling, engaging part of the game's world conquest experience. But what if the resistance phase would be more than just an empty pause between wars? With how Foxhole is designed, longer wars are here to stay, and I personally like longer wars. But for those who don't, to alleviate player burnout, there could be longer resistance phases that scale in duration based on the length of the previous war. The idea here is simple. After a particularly long and exhausting conflict, players would get a more extended break, allowing them to rest and mentally recharge before diving back into the next campaign. But beyond merely increasing the duration, these phases should also be filled with activities that give new players a reason to engage. Imagine a resistance phase brimming with community-driven events, competitions, and races. These types of activities have already been organized by players on their own, showcasing the creativity and dedication of the community. However, these events come with a major drawback. They still require players to perform logistical work to gather the necessary supplies. Players must divert time that could otherwise be used to unwind or relax, which adds to a layer of frustration for having to do so much work to create communal activities. One potential solution could be introducing easy access resources during the resistance phase, or the magic boxes from the dev branch. This could simplify supply gathering for recreational use, to host events and competitions with less hassle. And this would give players an opportunity to test out new tactics, vehicles, or weapons in a relaxed setting. The ability to access resources effortlessly would encourage more creative and experimental gameplay, transforming the resistance phase into a playground for ideas and social interaction, rather than a meaningless void. Back in the day, the resistance phase was envisioned as an extension of the overarching world conquest. It had a purpose, a continuity that made it feel like an essential part of the war. Now, however, it's little more than a purgatory until the next war starts. By reimagining this phase as a more experimental and engaging environment, players could finally feel free to blow off steam, connect with others, and enjoy the game without the looming pressure that every action must serve the larger war effort. So what do you guys think? Would a longer, more meaningful resistance phase be complementary to the longer wars of Foxhole, or do you think this idea is doo-doo? Let me know in the comments below, and let's discuss. Also check out this next video and consider subscribing. I'm trying to hit 20k by the end of the year. Okay, bye!